Greetings and salutations. Poof said, again we see movement and we see micromanaging going and we see a need for macromanaging that isn't happening. But that's not because some are not trying. They are. Those involved in the affairs of the world think they know what is best. That is not and never will be the sole purpose of some of those good folks. They mean well, but they are not the end all. Do unto others as they would do unto you, as you would like. Keep the orderliness of your life together, do what you can, keep promises, make peace with your kin, your neighbors, and prepare for a grand unfolding when the time comes. We still continue to tell you that we know that is what is intended. Many hands are in that cookie jar and you knows that already, but those that have their hearts in the right place are pulling the strings. There are folks that everyone needs to be focusing upon. They need to be removed and cleared out of the way. This is no small matter that is being dealt with. Stay the course. Be cool. Do the work. Bring in the bacon. Make a difference. Do the digging. Shelter your own and hold everyone accountable for what they can do. You will be successful. P. Susan says, one of the true ways to prepare yourselves for receiving is expressed very well in the words of Thoreau, for every 1,000 hacking at the leaves of evil, there is one striking at the root. We can only achieve quantum improvements in our lives as we quit hacking at the leaves of attitude and behavior and get to work on the root, the paradigms from which our attitudes and behaviors flow. I believe through this practice we all will be far more prepared for receiving our much-awaited returns. I know the PP participants have a hard time getting their heads around the fact the PPs are tied to the currency exchanges. After all, when we signed up for this journey there certainly was no discussion about such a requirement. This little addition to the conditions necessary for the deliveries didn't enter the picture until the early 2000s. Greenspan cleverly crafted this into the agreement so the US had complete control over the timing of such. So here we are week after week patiently waiting for our invitations to be delivered. As I say weekly, keep your eye on the private exchange groups. When you hear someone in your circle of influence has actually exchanged, that is your signal to beginning watching for a delivery. Hope this helps. Many blessings, Susan. Zap says. Hi all. Wild mushrooms have invaded the world, are subjugating the domestic mushrooms and they want to install mushy law for all to enter their wild and mushy ways. You too will be able to hail the big mushroom in the sky as the great and wise one all and be all of the planet, no mammals allowed unless they turn into mushrooms. As we all know, mushroom law dictates that mushrooms are kept in the dark and fed crap. All mushrooms are encouraged to procreate as much as possible, and for mushrooms, that's easy. The spores given off can create dozens of new mushrooms, and pretty soon the planet can be covered with mushrooms. White ones, black ones, the varieties are limited. Colorful mushrooms not allowed and will be eaten. Lately, some wilder mushrooms have decided that domestic mushrooms are too tame, and have started to eat their own kind. The new breed of wild cannibal mushrooms is seen as a good thing according to the big mushrooms. They have rewarded the new wild cannibal mushrooms with really good crap to feed on and they are flourishing. Lately, a wild mushroom took a front-end loader and harvested a whole bunch of non-mushrooms in the forest, mowing them down where they stood. The ever-vigilant pig police shot and killed the wild mushroom while other wild mushrooms did a wild mushroom dance and celebrated. The pig police are offering a reward of 1 ton of truffles for the arrest and capture of the crap-eating wild mushrooms responsible for this atrocity. The media is interviewing trees in search of answers. Trees not talking. A way of getting rid of the mushrooms has been found, and the world may be saved. This involves taking all the mushrooms and putting them in direct sunlight. This has been found to shrivel the mushrooms and they disappear naturally. Big mushrooms blowing their caps off at the thought. The pigs are happy. It is foreseen that the mushroom revolution is underway. The majority of mushrooms have decided that mushy law is a bit too wild for their tastes, and refuse to eat any more crap. Film at 11. In more exciting matters, Benjamin and the boys have come out into the sun, and directly targeted the boys and girls that have created unimaginable terror and death along with rape and pillage. This brave step is in keeping with the agenda of bringing those to justice, and offers the push for the authorities to go ahead and arrest these folks before some wild mushroom decides that $48 million per head is enough to risk going after somebody on the list. I refer to the latest from Benjamin as follows. Gold reward offered for the capture of Khazarian gangsters. In order to bring about world peace and justice, the White Dragon Society is offering a gold bounty for the capture of the individuals listed below. The gold can be collected in Hong Kong or other parts of Asia upon the capture of the felons. These criminals collectively have been actively trying to kill 90% of the world's population and enslave the survivors. Ample proof of their crimes has already been provided to various law enforcement and other agencies around the world. Since the individuals below are highly dangerous, you are authorized to use any necessary force if they resist arrest. Their names are presented in the same format as the deck of cards they issued for Iraqi leaders following their illegal invasion of that country. Ace of Spades. George Bush Sr. Wanted for mass murder and embezzlement. Bounty, 1 ton of gold. Ace of Diamonds. David Rockefeller. Wanted for mass murder and embezzlement. Bounty, 1 ton of gold. Ace of Hearts. Ishine Davignon. Wanted for illegally engineering the destruction of United States. Bounty, 1 ton of gold. Ace of Clubs. David Rothschild. Wanted for fraud. Bounty, 1 ton of gold. King of Spades. George Bush Jr. Wanted for mass murder and embezzlement. Bounty, 1 ton of gold. King of Diamonds. Donald Rumsfeld. Wanted for mass murder and embezzlement. Bounty, 1 ton of gold. King of Hearts. Bill Clinton. Wanted for mass murder and embezzlement. Bounty, 1 ton of gold. King of Clubs. Benjamin Netanyahu. Wanted for mass murder and money laundering. Bounty, 1 ton of gold. Queen of Spades. Barbara Bush. Wanted for mass murder and embezzlement. Bounty, 1 ton of gold. Queen of Diamonds. Janet Yellen. Wanted for fraud. Bounty, 1 ton of gold. Queen Hearts. Hillary Clinton. Wanted for mass murder and embezzlement. Bounty, 1 ton of gold. Queen of Clubs. Victoria Nuland. Wanted for mass murder and embezzlement. Bounty, 1 ton of gold. Joker of Spades. Nicolas Sarkozy. Wanted for mass murder, fraud and drug smuggling. Bounty, 1 ton of gold. Joker of Diamonds. Mario Draghi. Wanted for embezzlement and fraud. Bounty, 1 ton of gold. Joker of Hearts. Haruhiko Kuroda. Wanted for theft of Japanese savings. Bounty, 1 ton of gold. Joker of Clubs. Barack Obama. Wanted for mass murder and embezzlement. Bounty, 1 ton of gold. I have no idea why the jokers were used, but they are appropriate. Good chuckle. Talking about chuckles, I copied a funny sent in by one reader at the bottom. Hi Susan and Zap, et al., for your perusal at leisure. Zap, your message here is insightful. Please, no, I do not claim to have a total understanding of the overall circumstances of the socio-economic and political situations of today. They are too convoluted to hope for that. I study and continue to be exposed to various data which help align things, for me, in regards to what is happening. Yours is a good example. Straight data, hopefully, able to be confirmed, allows for understanding. The story and history of mushrooms is easy to deduce with all the information out there. I believe therein lies the trick of this foil. When dogma or uninspected religious belief is the mainstay of information made available, the ability to understand is not addressed. Take the Council of Nicaea, which I have seen reference to having been convened around 933 or so. Catholic Church bishops got together and ruled what would be in the Bible and declared it the Word of God. I am sure these were educated men, in their time, for the most part. I am sure there were those who were quite spiritual, because we are a spirit, and anyone can and has experienced that. So, who knew, when, and what was the depth and breadth of the knowledge about man and this planet? They removed anything which did not agree with Catholic dogma at that time. True. The purpose or mission of religion is to prepare man for bravely, even heroically, facing the vicissitudes of life. Religion discovers for the soul those supreme values which are in contrast with the relative values discovered by the mind. Such superhuman insight can be had only through genuine religious experience, But the love call of the spiritual kingdom should prove to be the effective destroyer of the hate urge of the unbelieving and war-minded citizens of the earthly kingdoms. This insight comes from the Urantia book. I just put it together, and is accurate and can be relied on. I believe anyone who cares to look will see control by religious, superstitional means has been the cornerstone of kingdoms and nations since before the most recent available written histories. Just as with recent activities such as Nazism, telling a big enough lie to the unwashed vulgar masses uneducated with just enough truth attached lends credence and power in the creation of a platform that allows this whole God-King fallacy to be perpetuated. Only a very special few have the ability to be a senator, not necessarily a byline, but it is supported as a concept when the media propels nothing but a bunch of lies, innuendo and fraud about the government and banksters. Although the reflective powers of the mind are deepened and broadened by worship, and prayer may enrich the life with worship illuminating destiny, the installation of God-Kings has been a predominant thread throughout history. None of these empires lasted as they were based on a false presumption, and were designed solely for control. The priests these empires produced were quite happy to be in the control position and humanity suffered. To this day, we see the framework of such constructs within the banking system as well as the governments that have decided to effect a form of church-state system. The lessons of the control positions have been implemented well and craftily in our current systems as men are brilliant in creating new and innovative ways of killing or pillaging each other. Where are we spiritually is the question I keep asking. Then you have the issue of mental phenomena, intelligence, the catalogue of mental conditions, which psychiatry and psychology claim to have mastered which seem to present a wild variable person to person. Nothing could be more false. To paraphrase a quote from a book on the mind published in 1950, the problems of the human mind can be addressed and solved by the human mind. Intelligence, perception, ability and positive activity versus crippling adherence to dogmatic superstition can be addressed. This is a personal thing. Some, too many, are currently incapable. That's an adjunct situation. The mind is far from being mapped, on this I agree. The conditions that have been catalogued are accurate for the most part, but the actual depth and breadth of the mind's ability to transcend is quite extraordinary and often relegated to unexplained phenomena when a box is not available to put the results into. Crippling adherence to dogma can be resolved by continued exposure to truth. Hell, I have a friend, a few years older than I, more educated than I, more experienced in the field we both work in, very capable and intelligent. And yet the mental machinery is set and solidly, he firmly believes that the Bible is completely literal, the earth is only 5,000 years old, etc. For sake of friendship, we mutually stay away from this subject as a rule. I'm sure he will pray often for me since I am destined to arrive at some lower region without a hot papa suit, because of my lack of belief in a deity, squared. Deity is easy. We are all individuated divinity on 2 feet. And some of us have understood that and ascended. I understand what you mean. I too have a few friends, particularly Muslims, that are unshakable in their belief that the Quran written so long ago for the times, applies to today's world. The Christians are same in many ways, but are much more flexible and open to changes that make sense. Regardless, God is all that can be said. We are part of Him the same way He is part of us. In closing, I believe it is wonderful that the impending changes are upon us and that the society will have benefit of funds upon which to operate. The true challenge, however, is the mind. Does not this facility dictate all else? An understanding of how it operates, how this affects our day-to-day interpersonal relationships, ability, perceptions, etc. Happy trails, J. Skyhawk. Yes. The changes upon us will provide for a wonderful fertile medium for massive change that used properly, will give our humanity the 1,000 years of peace and joy. In respect of your last statement, I have learned that all is mind. Understanding this obviates dogma, and allows for true spiritual growth. Thanks for the intelligent conversation, Skyhawk. Regarding releases of dollar. We have the old system. We have the new system. We have them both in operation. We have mass confusion because the news is just BS aimed to obfuscate on behalf of the cabal, banksters, etc. We have media spewing business as usual in apparent continued operation, Hillary, Obama, Tussaud, Incorporated, for short, the United States of America, Incorporated. We seem to have less chemtrails being sprayed, at least from what I've observed, though occasionally they go crazy. Yes, chemtrails are at an all-time low. I have also noticed this in the last weeks. Very good. We have Zap, Keenan, Karen Hughes all portraying that there's a group in charge but none evidently being the same group. I can only speak for myself, but the groups in charge are the Europe royals in concert with Chinese royals. Even common sense says such. The regulatory bodies and other organizations out there carry out the decisions of these oversight entities. They are the ones that dictated the dismantling of the cabal. Mike Kodesky, said, even before 9/11, that at the end, there would be utter confusion and chaos and then this thing will pay out. Meaning that which we started out with as Omega Trust and trading. Seems like we're pretty much there. Though I believe it can and will get a lot more confusing. End point. We have an overall situation where A. The cabal has many aspects or iterations, arms, groups. B. There are older and newer parts to that whole thing, appearing to stem, as far as can be seen, from the Vatican. C. The cabal has had hundreds, if not longer, to establish their positions. D. The cabal had the ability to predict toward major types of events, which their actions have been aimed toward creating. E. The cabal has had the benefit of infinite money supply. F. The cabal has benefited in terms of ability to predict moves well in advance, and thereby, have they not had the opportunity to establish bulwarks and bastions against their defeat? The cabal has had all these mechanisms work for them in the past, and to some extent right now, but the majority of the power has been dismantled and converted. The wealth that has been stolen has been consolidated in preparation for the reconstruction effort. Remember, we need a planet to live on, and we need to clean our house up from the garbage we have thrown in it. Time seems to be on the cabal's side as relates to the lifespan of a normal person. Their families are bred to the life and campaign. I believe this is one of the mechanisms through which they have managed to continue to manipulate the system to their benefit. Certainly the fight must go on, but for how long? No one can say at lower levels, such as yours, evidently, and mine. In a gross comparison, then, we blow up one bunker, they've already vacated and moved to another no one had knowledge of, that one is discovered and we the good guys, blow that one up. Same result, on, and this is how it has appeared. And one thing else. There is no reasoning with those at the top of the cabal, they are antisocial, period. Their safety is their main and only battle cry. These will not trust. They will not change. Believe this, or not. Anyone in their ranks that comes forward to negotiate is not a true antisocial as I refer to. They are the antisocial's henchman emissary only, and the antisocial cannot be counted on to abide any agreement. Jail is the only answer. Actually, they are really not antisocial, they are just greedy, uncaring people with little or no spiritual values. If these were instilled in them, we would have change. We do not have change there as yet on the scale we need to have, but it is beginning. Maybe there is hope for them yet. We will see. Right now, we are all preparing for the influx of project funding, which is a couple days away. This will mark the start of the effort to clean the garbage in our house. All the indicators are evident of the change, and the intelligence I have received in respect of money movements and inside positions of the agents of the change point in one coherent direction. This bodes well for our humanity. The changes in consciousness we see are beginning to affect changes on a smaller scale everywhere we look, and that will only accelerate now. This what has been started will not die. It has a life and inertia all its own now, and we will begin to breathe very shortly. All the delays and waiting we had to go through has strengthened us to such a degree, that we will be able to transfer the lessons learned to the work ahead of us, and we will all be better for it. You know, whatever doesn't kill us. Thanks for your emails, comments, help and well wishes. We are almost there and we will be getting to the work ahead of us now. In indefatigable gratitude. Love and light. In our service. Zap. God is, I am, we are. Be good. Be legal, tell truth. July 17, 2016. Copyright Zap 2013 to 2016. Obama attends Mass. Last Saturday in Washington, D.C., An aide to President Barack Obama visited Cardinal Yo, Archbishop of Washington. He told the cardinal that President Obama would be attending Mass the following day, and he asked if the cardinal would kindly mention Obama's presence to the congregation and say a few words that would include calling Obama a saint. The cardinal replied, "No. I don't really like the man, and there are issues of conflict with the Catholic Church over many of Obama's policies." Obama's aide then said, "Look, I'll write a check here and now for a donation of $20,000 to your church if you'll just tell the congregation you see Obama as a saint." The cardinal thought about it and said, "Well, the church can really use the money, so I'll work your request into tomorrow's sermon." As Obama's aide had promised, Obama appeared for Sunday Mass and seated himself prominently at the forward left side of the center aisle. And as promised, at the start of his sermon, the cardinal pointed out that Obama was in attendance. The cardinal's sermon to the congregation concluded with these final words: "While President Obama's presence is probably an honor to some, the man is not numbered among my personal favorite personages. Some of his views are contrary to the tenets of the church, and he tends to flip-flop on issues whenever it suits his political whims. Barack Obama is a self-absorbed hypocrite, a thumbsucker and a petty nitwit. Barack Obama is also a serial liar, a cheat, and a thief. I must say, Barack Obama is the worst example of a Christian I have ever personally witnessed. He is a narcissist and uses his speaking ability to lie to the American people on a regular basis. He also has a reputation for shirking his obligations, both in Washington and in Illinois. This man should never be trusted." Then the cardinal finalized his sermon by saying, "But, when compared with Hillary Clinton, Obama is a saint. P.S. I just got a call for help that I have to find a solution for. There are 2 members of our team overseas that are in a pickle, and they need a helping hand. One lady will be thrown on the street and her work on the computer and her files will be thrown in the dumpster and belongings sold to pay for the room. This will be a catastrophe." The other member faces a similar situation, but it is compounded by his inability to walk at the moment because of lower bowel issues that require hospitalization. A real SHD situation. We are good in 2 days but not today to help them. Thanks for this short notice. I am doing up the Sunday message now but had to get this out when I got the call. Love and light, in our service, Zap. PSS. I was given to understand that we can now expect the GC this coming week as some critical things did occur last week to provide a clear path for this event. It still does not affect our funding source though. Contributions. Thank you for your support as we do our best to keep you up to date. We couldn't do this without your help. Please go to paypal.com using the account address, goneforthforno@gmail.com to support the cause. Do remember to click goods and services. We're still struggling to keep food on many families' tables and the lights going. Much thanks. Blessings, S. Consultations continue. Love and kisses. The Office of Poofness. Zap, Susan and staff.